Hello, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum and adab. A warm welcome to all our honored professionals who are joined us amid a cold day here in Kashmir on this virtual CPE session organized by Kashmir CPE chapter of NIRC of ICAI. The topic for today's session is critical aspects in filing and handling the first appeal under income tax, a dynamic topic which will be covered in length and breadth by our esteemed speaker for today's session. And I am pleased to introduce CAJ Kumar Tejwani ji. Welcome, sir. A brief introduction about Sir, a fellow member of the ICAI with the experience of more than 30 years in the profession. Sir is a law graduate and also has a diploma in international taxation. He holds multiple certificates of ICAI certified courses, including indirect taxation and valuation. Sir has an expertise in direct tax matters, including international taxation, FEMA, and assurance services. He also represents tax matters before appellate levels. Sir is a renowned and a regular speaker of international taxation, union budgets, DTAA, and direct taxation at various platforms of ICAI. Being a recognized faculty of the ICAI since 2009, Sir has been active in preparation of study material on direct tax and international taxation, vetting of CA journals, and Indian annual budget updations on international taxation. Thanks for accepting our invite, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone. And it's my pleasure. Actually, I am just loving this session. I was very excited to be part of this beautiful session. And in fact, Charanjotji told me that the new chapter at Srinagar was opened very recently. So I'm also very honored to be part of, to be with all of you. And I hope we collectively enjoy this session. So all my very dear friends, I'm going to share my presentation and few pointers. If you already have your notepad or your pen and pencils ready, that would be very helpful in making this session interactive. And the topic which is given for today's session is very important. The topic is critical aspects in filing and handling first appeal under the Income Tax Act 1961. Friends, the topic critical aspects has gained a lot of importance because of the amendments which have happened by the way of Finance Act of 2020, wherein the first appeal has also become faceless. So in first 30 minutes of the session, I'm going to talk about the provisions starting from section 246A and going up to section 251. So this will take approximately half an hour so that we theoretically cover what are we discussing, what is filing and how it is to be handled. And then in next 1 hour or so, we are going to talk about the critical aspects which we have to take care while filing the appeal or while handling and representing the faceless appeal. Okay, so if you all permit, we start with the session. Thank you.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So thank you very much for such wonderful words, Karthikji, you put in. My name is Kumar Tejwani, and I have been as a faculty member with ICAI since 2009 and covering different aspects on international taxation and direct taxes, and traveled not just in India, even abroad. ICAI has given me a lot of options. So thank you all at the Srinagar branch office and all the participants as well. So the first thing which we are going to talk about today is the tax orders against which the appeal can be filed before the first appellate authority. And as we all know, the first appellate authority is Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals. And section 246A, very important section, it covers approximately 24 kind of orders which can be appealed before the Commissioner Appeals. So I invite your attention to section 46A, wherein all the 24 appealable orders are listed. Let me cover some of the very important orders which are part of the appellate authority. One is any intimation that we receive under section 143(1). It could be 143(1)(1)(b), where any tax liability is determined, which is incorrect in our opinion. The same can be appealed before the appellate authority. And this is very, very important of late, because a lot of demands are getting created because of the TIS, AIS information 26AS, wherein maybe those documents at times may not be correct. We may be filing the correct return, but there are tax demands. Second, very important is assessment order under section 143 subsection 3. We generally call it a scrutiny assessment order. And if the order is containing any kind of additions, or there is a demand of income tax, or refund is getting reduced, or any other adjustments which are made, which in our opinion, in the opinion of assessee, is not correct, the said order is also appealable. Along with this, I'll also cover order under section 92, which is the transfer pricing order. And transfer pricing, if there is any kind of adjustment made by the assessing officer while passing the final order, that order is also appealable. Similarly, best judgment assessment order passed under 144. So if there is any such order which is passed, and of course, as we all know, 144 is a section when assessee fails to reply to any notice, or he is not able to, in fact, represent in respect of the notices issued. Such best judgment assessment order also is appealable. And then finally, important one is the reassessment, the income escaping assessment. Any order for assessment, reassessment, or recomputation which is passed under section 147 is also appealable before Commissioner Appeals. One thing I would like to clarify here, that in case there is an order passed by the Dispute Resolution Panel, DRP, under section 150, those orders are not appealable before Commissioner Appeals. The DRP order can only be appealed before the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. So these are some of the orders. Second aspect is what are the forms of appeal and any limitations which are attached to it, and how to file before Commissioner Appeals the appeal under the faceless regime. So as we all know, form number 35, which even before faceless regime, this was the form which was applicable, and the same form continues to be applicable. The assessee can log on to the registered portal on the income tax site and e-file form 35. Of course, while filing form 35, we must be very careful about the rules 45, 46, and 46A. We must read and ensure that all these are taken care of while filing form 35. Form 35 is definitely to be signed and verified as per the required procedure. 3 documents which earlier also we were filing, they also have to be filed again. One is the copy of the demand notice. In the manual filing, it was original demand notice which was filed, but now the certified copy of demand notice along with the tax assessment order. It needs to be filed. Second, which is very critical, and we are going to talk more about it, is the statement of facts and grounds of appeal. Quite often, even the tax department, if you really visit their challenges that they face, that quite often they see that the statement of facts are not given in Form 35 properly. And even at times, the ground of appeal that are mentioned are not very appropriately drafted. So we are going to spend some time on this critical aspect later. And third document which is to be uploaded is the copy of challan of the appeal fee. And as we all know, if the grounds which are under appeal, if the value is less than 100,000 rupees, the fee is 250 rupees, the appeal fee. If it is between 100,000 to 200,000, the appeal fee is rupees 500. And if the additions which are made and the grounds which have taken, they exceed 200,000 rupees, then the fee is 1,000 rupees. What are the preconditions, my friends, for filing the appeal? So, very important precondition is that the fee is to be deposited before we really upload the appeal. And third, and if I would invite your attention to point 3 here, that while the CBDT memorandum, which is dated 29th of February 2016, CBDT has said that at least 20% of the tax demand should be deposited, or not should be, may be deposited before the appeal gets accepted. So this is something very new, and quite often we forget to deposit the 20% of the tax demand. So how it actually works? As soon as we get the order, we can always approach the assessing officer to grant us stay of demand. So while this office memorandum, the assessing officer can grant the stay of demand if they have deposited at least 20% of the disputed tax demand. So what is so critical about this? So disputed tax demand is not what he has determined. There is an order which he has passed. There is a demand which is determined, but there could be certain apparent errors in determination of the demand. He might not have given the complete credit of the TDS, which is deducted. There could be some errors or something which he has added twice. All those things we can correct on our own, file 154 simultaneously, and deposit 20% of such disputed tax demand, even if order under 154 is not passed. So this is important, and once we deposit this, the precondition for filing of appeal before commissioner is met. Another important point is that 30 days is the time within which of the receipt of the relevant order under 246A, within which we have to file the appeal. And yes, the appeal can be filed beyond 30 days if there is a reasonable cause, there is a reasonable ground which is causing the delay. I would take a few very practical examples, and I'm sure it was quite on public domain as well, that during COVID of 2019, there were medical emergencies. There were issues beyond the control of the SSC. There were portal-related issues which had come up. Similarly, there were issues wherein the consultant who was handling our case was not in a fit medical condition. So, number of cases the CIT has condoned the delay. There could be few other cases which will come in the later part of our discussion, that where it can be accepted as a reasonable cost. So this was all about 246A. And let's talk about the procedure in appeal. And here now we are going to section 250. And I'm going to totally concentrate on the faceless appeal. And I'm sure, as we are all aware, by way of this central government's notification dated 25th of September 2020, entire appellate procedure before Commissioner Appeals is now faceless, which means that we do not know who the Commissioner Appeals is. We have absolutely no physical interface, and entire proceedings happens through the tax portal. If they have to issue a notice, we'll get it through our income tax portal. If we have to reply, it again will be through the registered portal. And another important aspect is that we have been given the SSC has the power to request for a video call or a video conferencing in case there is any point which is to be explained to the Commissioner of Appeals. And all 246A matters, all 24 except 5 matters, they are faceless now. The matters which are still not faceless are, number 1, where there are serious frauds, or just remove the word serious, any kind of a fraud which is part of the ground, it is still covered under the physical appeal. Any major tax evasion, remove the word major, tax evasion which is significant in nature. So if your returned tax was say 1 CR and the tax evasion amounts to 10 CR, or it would be considered as a major tax evasion, and subject to the internal approval, it could fall under the physical appeal. Any search matter, any sensitive exchange of information matters, they are again exceptions to the faceless appeal. International tax. This is something very exciting, and in I'm sure in Kashmir also you may be dealing, but in Mumbai, Delhi, we have number of cases involving international tax. Matters which involve DTAAs, MLIs, BETs, transfer pricing, they still are covered under the physical appeal. And finally, the Black Money Act. If there is any assessment going on because of the Black Money Act, FEMA violation, they are also covered under the physical appeal. Now, what are the different authorities? This is more theoretical, but very important to understand that what are the different authorities under faceless appeal scheme. Earlier, as we are all aware, under the physical, there would be a notice from the Commissioner Appeals, will go represent and do it. But faceless, government has tried to make it more disciplined and stricter. So under the faceless scheme, there are basically 3 authorities. Authority number 1 is the National Faceless Appeal Center. In short, we call it NFAC. NFAC is the central coordinator. It is the center which has the jurisdiction to dispose of the appeal in a centralized manner. So whenever you're going to get an order, it would be from NFAC because they have the jurisdiction to dispose of. Below NFAC is the Regional Faceless Appeal Centers, RFAC. So RFAC basically, it facilitates the conduct of e-appeal proceedings in the cadre controlling region of a principal chief commissioner. So like here, we are all connected to Zoom, but who has done it? So national may be the ICAI New Delhi, but the regional is the Srinagar chapter. But below that is something which is important. All the appeal matters, and they are called as appeal units. So appeal units are the units which, when we file the appeal, they admit the appeal. They may make further inquiries in case the appeal is defective, and they may seek more information on admitting the grounds of appeal. If something is not complete, orders are not in order, not clearly scanned, and they are the authorities which will provide us the opportunity to be heard before deciding on the matter. And whatever we submit, appellate units or the appeal units, they analyze the material, and they are the ones who will be drafting and reviewing the final draft order, and any other function which may be given by NFAC or Regional Finance Appeal Center to them, they would be the one to perform those activities. So it is the appeal unit which actually does everything from admitting to issuing the draft order. Who issues the final order? We'll come to that. But as I mentioned, NFAC is the one who issues the final order. And appeal units, they comprise of generally one, but in case of some bigger appeals, it can also comprise of more CIT appeals. And the method of communication, as we have discussed just now, it is all through the digital medium. You have to keep visiting your portal. Of late, of course, they are also issuing the emails, but the plan is that solely it would only be available on your tax portal. And any communication which they have to make or we have to do would be through that portal. Process, so I'll just cover up the major points. I'm not going to get into this. So first process is the assignment of appeal to appeal unit. So we file the appeal to NFAC, they will assign it to the appeal unit. And it could be anywhere. Maybe if you are sitting in Delhi, our case could go to Kolkata. The appellate CIT appeal may be sitting in Kolkata. You are filing your appeal from Kashmir, the jurisdictional appeal unit could be based out of New Delhi. So there is no concept of jurisdictional commissioner, and again the location doesn't matter. Second is intimation of admission or rejection. Of course, as soon as you file, you get an intimation, and this will be done by the appeal unit under the name of NFAC. And the gathering of information by the appeal unit, as we just discussed, appeal unit would send you the notice seeking either the fixing the date or maybe some kind of a questionnaire seeking more information. And very important point is step number 4, submitting of additional grounds. This is something new while filing our Form 35 through e-portal. Point number 11, if you have the income tax rules. Point number 11, if in earlier times it was not there, but in Form 35, now there is a provision that you can submit the additional evidence. And if we are submitting it, it's also asked for the reason that why are you submitting the additional evidence now? And this is something very important. And we have to give our reasons in brief, that because of so-and-so reason, it couldn't be submitted, or it was submitted, but it was not considered. So additional evidences could be submitted while filing the appeal itself. Of course, it is up to the appeal unit. They may accept or not accept such additional grounds. And step 7 is something very, very important. And this we must just read in complete saying, that issue of show cause notice for enhancement of assessment or penalty or reduction of the refund amount. So as we all know, during the manual processes, if we were filing the submissions, the order would come. There could be some or in-person discussion. But now, after all the evidences and documents are submitted, the appeal unit, if they intend to pass the order which is not in the favor of the appellant or the assessee, they will have to make the show cause notice and send it to NFAC. NFAC in turn will issue such show cause notice to appellant. So this is something which is important. And if at any point in time you find that show cause notice has not been issued and the assessment has increased, penalty has increased, or amount of refund has reduced, immediately we can ask for annulment of such order. So NFAC will definitely issue the show cause notice, and on receipt of the response, of course, the appellant or the SSC will have to file the submissions. Then after considering everything which is on record, the commissioner appeal, the appeal unit, they will pass the draft order. They may, considering a show cause notice reply, they may confirm, they may reduce, they may enhance the assessment, or even can annul the assessment. Again, this order will be given to NFAC. NFAC will review everything, all the steps that are covered here, that whether every and each step is followed or not. And after that, they will pass the final order. And there are also provisions that in case NFAC is not satisfied or is concerned with the quality of the order, they may also be giving that order to appeal unit number 2 or second appeal unit, we call it. It's not a very frequent thing, but within Delhi and Mumbai, we have seen that at times, if appeal unit 1 is not has not gone in the right direction, or the submissions which have been given by the appellant have not been considered in the spirit, it could be given to another commissioner appeals. And even there is a provision of third appeal unit, that if they feel that, okay, second appeal unit has also not done it correctly, there is a provision that it can go to third appeal unit. So this is in brief. And finally, you get, after everything is done, you get the final assessment order. So anything up to this, these were all theoretical. And if anything you feel needs clarification, we can do it before going to the critical aspect. Yeah, Khadirji, you can unmute if anybody wants to, or else I have few questions for the participants which they have to answer before I get on to the critical aspects. Okay, so if you permit, I can put on few questions to the participants.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is for Amir Nabi. Amirji, if you can, sorry. This is for CA Azaz Ahmed. So Azaz, if you could please confirm which section talks about the appealable orders. Which section? अगर आप बता पाएं एजाज कि कौन सा सेक्शन है जो कि अपीलेबल ऑर्डर्स के बारे में बात करता है?
246
246A, ठीक है? 246 पहले टाइम में होता था, now it is 246A. Yeah, good, thank you. And to Humayun, if you could tell Humayun, how many orders are there which are appealable, approximately numbers? कितने number of orders हैं?
12 to 14.
It is 24. There are 24 kind of orders, okay, which are appealable. अब e-assessment में खालिद वानी जी अगर आप बता पाएं, so e-faceless assessment, it covers all 246A orders except few. And if you could highlight few of those orders which are not under faceless, जिसको हमें physically करना है अभी भी.
Under section 153A, block assessment.
हाँ जी, ठीक है, very good. Any other?
153A.
Others can also. 153A is one. What others? Is international tax covered under faceless or it's physical? International tax?
Physical.
So international tax is also non-faceless. It cannot go faceless. Okay. Okay, so my next question is to Tahir Rashid. Tahir ji, agar aap ye bata paye ki how many authorities are there in this faceless e-assessment? Tahir Rashid. So you have to be with me, unless the critical aspects can't be understood. Huh? So if not Tahir, Tariq Bhatt can also. 3 authorities hai. First one is NFAC. Second is the regional FAC. Third is the appeal unit. Okay. So anybody now, without naming, anybody, you could tell me how many steps are there, with this faceless, how many steps process have been defined? These are SOPs actually. कितने steps defined किए गए हैं before the final order reaches us? Step 1 से लेके कितने steps तक जाते हैं? This is open to everyone, and we discussed few steps just now. Wazid or anybody, Irfan, और ये दिख भी रहे हैं वैसे तो steps अभी भी that slide is there. So there are total 14 steps. Okay, and of course I may not be covering all, but these are to be kept in mind just in case we get any order and we feel that any of the steps was not followed or not intimated to us, like show cause notice, you can always request for annulment of such. Okay, so anyways, but be very careful because we are going to talk and interact. I will be very happy to answer all your questions, but at the same time, you will also have to be very actively participate and answer if there are any questions which are asked. So let's handle what are the critical aspects in filing and handling the first appeal under the Income Tax Act of 1961. First important aspect is whether any additional ground can be taken during the course of appellate proceedings. Earlier also, there was always a provision that we can take an additional ground, and that additional ground can always be accepted if we have justifying reasons कि वो पहले हमने क्यों नहीं लिया and why we are taking it now. But with faceless, the procedure has slightly changed. Now, there is a specific form which is to be filled in, and we have to upload it as an additional ground and send it to NFAC, as we understand. NFAC will send it to the assessing officer for comment, and also they will be passing on the same ground to the appeal unit. Earlier, it was just face-to-face giving it to the CIT appeal and they will do it. Now the appeal unit would review the additional grounds and our reasons, and if they are satisfied, and of course they will also take assessing officers' views as well. And I'll just give you a practical example how we dealt with a similar case very recently. So assessing officers' views, the reasons given by the appellant, appeal unit will consider all these things, and if they feel that yes, the reasons given are correct and what AO is saying is not very correct, or maybe we are more justifying, he can admit the additional grounds. And second, he may not admit or he may entirely reject the additional grounds, but he will have to record the reasons in writing. He simply cannot say I reject without giving any substantial reason. And once it is done, and of course he will do it to NFAC, with us only NFAC will be in touch. No appeal unit will ever communicate with us. So NFAC in turn will tell us whether our grounds have been accepted or not. second critical point and very important point is whether any additional evidences other than those which are submitted at the time of original assessment can also be submitted by the appellant at the time of appeal. Now, at the time of filing appeal. So this provision was not there earlier, but now in Form 35 itself, point 11, there is a point wherein we can submit additional evidence. But of course, the reasons have to be specified as to why are we submitting it. And there is a specific rule called Rule 46A, Sub-Rule 1, under which you have to request the authority, the appellate authority, to accept the additional evidence by giving the reasons. And very interesting case has come up very recently in our own case. So this was a case of a non-resident who was staying in Dubai for last almost 38 years. This gentleman is 80 years plus, earning, running his business in Dubai, but being, a kind of a person who is connected to India, he used to send his savings, significant part of his savings, from Dubai to India. And this he was doing for last 38 years. And suddenly, in recent times, we got a notice for assessment year 12-13 under section 147, right, with 148, fulfilling the conditions under 150. And the notice said that there is significant deposit in your NRE account. Also, you have made certain portfolio investment applicable to NRI. And also it said that you have NRO income. And you have not filed the return. So the case was under 147, the notice was issued. The assessee, our client, he filed the tax return. The case was immediately picked up for scrutiny. And during the course of assessment proceedings, we submitted every document that how the money has flown into India. And also we gave the evidence of earning of those incomes in Dubai. It was very well explained that it was all through normal banking channels that have been followed while remitting this amount. But the assessing officer, ignoring all our submissions, he made the addition and under section 69 and said that it is all unexplained amounts which are invested. And he also said in his order that no justifying evidences have been submitted to me. So therefore, I am adding the entire amount of 30 crores, which was lying in those investment accounts, as unexplained. And as we all know, if it is unexplained, 60% tax is there. And so this is what happened. Of course, it was a shocking order because he never considered our submissions in, with complete spirit and substance. CIT appeal was filed. And this was all during state listing. We filed the CIT appeal. Before CIT appeal, we also filed a couple of additional documents apart from bank statements and the flow, the statement explaining the flow of funds, the Indian bank statements, which anyways were with AO also, they were also filed with appeals. In addition, we filed the mutual fund statements as well. The statements wherein it is the date of investment, amount, units, etc. is also mentioned. We also filed the business which he was running in Dubai. The establishment documents of those units as well were filed. So what CIT did was, and this is very, very important, CIT he considered what was filed before AO. He was very satisfied with those documents itself, because we explained that under FEMA, funds cannot just come in our bank account. There are certain procedures, regulations which have to be followed. And if those are not followed, the funds will never be allowed to be credited in our bank account. He understood there, but with these additional evidences, which of course were important, but he said, no, it's okay. So he never shared those additional evidences with assessing officer for comments. And he passed a favorable order deleting all the 30 crore addition which was made by the assessing officer in our favor. So this is how we got the relief. But the assessing officer filed an appeal before ICAI saying that so-and-so section, as we just discussed, section 250, it has not been followed by the Commissioner Appeals. The additional evidences which were submitted before him, they were never shared with the assessing officer for comment. So the order passed by CIT appeal be annulled. So this was a very interesting case, because the section says, if you read the section, it says that any additional evidence filed by the appellate, they have to be shared with the assessing officer for comment before passing off any draft or final order. So we had a representation last week before ICAI Delhi. The assessing officer's representative was also there. We were also there. So what I just discussed with you, we exactly discussed the same thing with the tribunal members. So we told them that, okay, these were all additional but not substantial documents. They were ancillary documents. And there are few case laws and judgments which we are going to discuss towards the end of the session, which says that, okay, it is important. It is, if there is any substantial document, it must be shared with the assessing officer before taking a call on those documents. But they were all ancillary documents. And believe me, the department's representative was not even given proper time to represent. ICAI immediately in the open court, as they have to now announce the order, they said no, the order is perfect, and whatever order has been passed is correct. So why I mentioned this critical point here is that these kind of situations could arise, and we should know how to be prepared for answering before the appellate authority. And as I mentioned earlier, the additional evidences could also be submitted along with filing of appeal. There is a specific form. There is a specific point wherein the reasons are asked.
Sir, shall we take a few queries if possible right now?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to. Yeah, please.
Actually, few members were saying they can unmute themselves and ask, or type in the chat box.
That would be better. In case they can ask, that would be better.
Any queries?
Yeah, 1 second. Just putting my camera on. Sir, I'm audible to you, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
Sir, my name is Shakib. I'm a practicing chartered accountant. So just I have a couple of questions, might be not in context of this, but it is related somehow to this. Sir, firstly, I have the question regarding the 20% of the deposit we pay to the ORSTO grant. Sir, during the demonetization period, we have seen that humongous demands coming, and some was in that was contradictory, or you can say contestable. The client was not willing to pay any type of tax, not supposed 20%, even now 10% of that, because the itself the demand was almost 100% basic tax. So it was around in lakh rupees. So we have actually put in that appeal without the payment of tax. And somehow that we got the orders for that hearing purpose. So it was not annulled, or you can say cancelled, that you have not paid the taxes for that want. It was cancelled, or it was got in our against us. So that is the first question. If we have not paid, so how the commissioner appeal, or even
the commissioner can take your views in case he finds that what you are saying is correct. He may not really, because it's the stay of demand. The point was specifically related to stay of demand. So So before any stay order is passed by ITAT or AO, they see that 20% is deposited. So it is not up to the commissioner to ensure. Commissioner will only ensure that your regular taxes are deposited. So what you're saying is correct, absolutely correct.
Secondly, my question, sir, is right now, even if we are just there's no, it's a newbie for us, this faceless assessment, who are yet to be fully streamlined with this process, because of the fact we have seen the things like, for example, we are getting the assessment or this 143 full scrutinies or like part-time scrutiny on certain concealment as well. We are receiving the bulk of notices, like there is 271 AAC penalty for not filing, 271 if it gets uploaded. There is when we are filing the appeal, we are unable to find which to actually report of. Then we have to search for like 30, 14 notes are there, because what I feel that is a so cumbersome process. It gets uploaded, junk of notices come on that portal. We are unable to find that what is a basic assessment or what is that. So it takes us like hours to search for that. So it is a still a yet to be streamlined, first of all. Secondly, we find in that also there are some notices which are get on our portal, and there are some notices for which local AOs are sending us notices like you have there is a like demand on approaching us. Then we are told that we have already been scrutinized or like assessment on our portal. So why you are sending us notices to us? He's saying that it is still yet to be gone to fully to the faceless order. So we have the authority. We are receiving the on our mails that look, these are SSC for which demand is yet to be get, or we haven't received an appeal on these cases. So they are sending us even the like advanced text notices are recently, this are new happening in our Kashmir, that demand notes, advanced text notes
everywhere,
are
everywhere,
everywhere is coming to us. There's there are so many issues in that we were actually unable to, if so very honestly saying, when we are replying to the notice, we are unable, हमने notice का reply हुआ भी नहीं, we are still doubting it, either whether that is notice, because that is we are not getting a fully satisfied answer that you have been. And there are demonetization which we replied in 19, I guess 31st March, like V2V was 31st March was a last date. Before that we have appealed, apart from out, we didn't opt for V2V also, we have appealed in that section. It has been almost 2.5 years. We haven't received anything from their side. Now there are new things which are also we are receiving right now for those cases. Some CIT appeals have enabled window. I don't know what is that
CIT
window.
has now enabled, because the notices were not showing in, but now they have enabled.
Enabled.
So we'll start getting,
Yeah, we have received on that. Actually, we were unable to find what to reply on that window, but we saw that annexure was there, and we हमने वो दिमाग लगाया कि annexure का attachment होना है, तो हमने statement of fact, grounds डाला, assessment order डाला, and all the stuff we have filled, because I have somewhere read कि tomorrow you cannot say कि we have not got any correspondence from the department, so you need to reply. So we replied on that. So this whole process is like we are getting mammoth data from everywhere, on the client's portal, on the mails, on from the department, local department. We are set yet to be fully, get customized to this form. What is the local department here is doing? Is it for our department or it is not? If it is not, then why are they sending us a, even if for a smaller matter, why they are sending us the data? What is their aftermath, powers with the local AOs? If everything is to be commissioner appeal, like it is a phase that we don't know we're still getting the order from outside, we are appealing to that. So what is the whole, will it be like streamlined yet to be fully functional, or the department itself is like चलो पहले देखते हैं कहां तक पहुंचते हैं, still that we will keep the things in abeyance, जैसे चल रहा है तो चलने दो. So because it's being totally, we have received every day amendment is coming. अभी हमने 144 नहीं पढ़ा होता तो 144A आ गया, then B is coming, then 271 AC1 is coming. अब इसमें भी amendment हमने original नहीं पढ़ा होता अभी, क्या उसकी amendment भी आती है, हम then we have to go, अच्छा पहले क्या था, नया क्या आ रहा है. So we are in that phase कि हम we are, so the department need to stop itself right now till that we get user friendly with the atmosphere, that what actually the new act is or the new system is, because I guess it is not it's not an act right now, it is an IT enabled system that has taken over the act. It is an IT just right now, it is a technology we are getting familiar with.
So I guess all of us are in the same boat. What you are facing, we are also facing. But I'll just highlight what the discussion we had last week. So there was this VOCA in Mumbai. So 2 days before VOCA, there was this income tax commissioners and authorities which had come in to address the challenges that we are facing, through these. Suddenly, you find a demand which was earlier not there and now pertaining to 2004-5 suddenly crashing in. And this CIT letter saying now we are enabled to start filing. And the issues that you mentioned. So what their reply was that 90% of the things have now been streamlined, in terms of portal related challenges, but still they are working on the 10% of the remaining issues. And the remaining issues also they highlight. One was that they stopped issuing notices. The CIT in fact stopped issuing notices because they were not very enabled. The appeal units which we just discussed theoretically, they were not very tech enabled, which according to them, they have now done it, and therefore they have sent this general notice to everyone. It has just not come to you, but it was a general notice sent to every SSC and the consultant wherever possible, which means that now we start getting notices. So this is one. Number two, on the pending demand. So according to the department, which may or may not be correct because the people present there were not very happy with their reply, that now this CIS, AIS, etc., it is all live. Last year they ignored it, but now onwards they would also be considering the information which is there. So according to them, now they have the database for last nearly 20 years. So if there is a mismatch, which is leading to a significant tax revenue loss, they may still be recovering it. Of course, when we pointed out that this may not be possible for us to go back, to 20 years. So, again, there was not a clear reply, but they said, okay, we'll just see if there is any significant difference. Otherwise, they may, if we can file a letter to them that this is not significant, we were not aware, they may be very willingly be able to take it back. So I think the points which you are raising, they are more procedural than technical. And as per our understanding, department is also aware of it, and they are actually taking a lot of care about how to address to these. So let's hope when we meet next, we may be in a far better situation. But yeah, this is, we all agree. So there's a question from Sana that you said any evidence can be filed as additional evidence, which was filed but not considered. Will it be additional evidence? Requires proper process for admission of? Okay, so additional evidence is defined as number one, the evidences which were filed during the course of assessment proceedings. And because the assessment proceedings are also face-based, at times it happens that AO may not even consider it or may not even mention such evidences in the assessment order. So those can be filed by putting in the acknowledgement that they were filed and it was not acknowledged or not considered. Number two, what your question actually is, that in case we are filing additional evidences, like in our case, which I mentioned, we filed mutual fund statements, we filed, submissions on that it is not kind of unexplained income, we filed FEMA rules, etc. And we also filed the reasons that why are we filing? We were, so reasons explained were that no money can flow in NRE, NRO account without following the FEMA guidance. So yes, if there is any additional evidence required, there is a process, which is a form. So there is a NFAC form. So now NFAC has enabled us. Number one, in Form 35 itself, we can file the additional evidence. But in case something is not filed, it comes up during the course of appellate proceedings, there is a form to be filled up through which we can file the additional evidence. So I hope this answers, and I'll just see if there's any other question. So 246A, okay. Okay, any other question?
So we may proceed now. Let's finish it. Let take it after 1 hour.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Now, let me come to another critical aspect, that what is the consequence of non-compliance of any notice or direction under the faceless appeal scheme. This again has come up in big manner lot of notices, as we just discussed, are now being issued. During the physical appearances, at least there was one-to-one relation with the officers. And even if due to any reason, the personal appearance was not there, they were still not issuing the notices in case we were able to justify the reasons. But now, for any such non-compliance, I am point number 5, penalty proceedings may be recommended by the appeal unit to NFAC. And NFAC in turn may issue a show cause notice requiring us as to why the non-compliance of a notice was made. And here, now this is very interesting and important, that you have to now record your reasons in writing as to why we couldn't attend the notice, why the penalty should not be dropped, because if there are justifiable reasons for non-attendance. So I'll give you 2 practical examples, and this actually happened in a very recent case, that there was a CIT appeal notice which was not emailed to us. It was there on the portal. Maybe it was our mistake, because email is just an ancillary mode. It is not a primary mode. It was there on the portal, but neither could the consultant or the SSC, the appellant. He never checked the pending notices. So we missed it. And in fact, it was a show cause notice, issuing as to the listing out the points wherein the CIT appeal order was to be finalized. But in next 15 days, we got the NFAC notice saying that you have not attended and why the order be not passed as per the points given in the show cause notice, and why the penalty should not be levied. After a thoughtful consideration, see, there is no provision in law. They say you go to the portal, find out and answer. So here we took in the submission, we took the benefit of the Constitution of India, which says that appropriate opportunity be provided before any order is made. Point number 1. Point number 2, not directly related to SSC, but one of the provisions is that in case the opportunity is provided and there is the SSC has not represented, there could be reasons. So this is the Constitution substance. There could be reasons wherein he might not have received, or there could be a reason when he is not able to. So another opportunity be provided to him before taking any step of annulling or confirming the order. So taking these 2 grounds as part of the reply to show cause notice, we said, yes, we missed it. Maybe this is the procedure we should have followed, not wait for the email. And at the same time, in case, because the process is going on, you still send it through email. In case the reply was not filed, and in all our earlier submissions, we have filed the reply before date. This should have been considered, and we should have been given another chance, maybe by sending an email or maybe another notice on the portal. And this was accepted, wherein the show cause was dropped, no penalty was levied, and we were given an opportunity by extending the date to file our submissions. So these kind of things could happen, and the purpose of mentioning here is that keep very active on your portal. Do check at regular intervals whether there are any notices, any kind of a demand which is appearing online, or any notices of penalty, assessments, reassessments they are appearing. If yes, we have to reply to those notices immediately. Don't wait for any other mode of communication. So this is what point number 5 is, and very, very important. Point number 4, whether the case may be transferred to any commissioner appeals. So as we discussed, yes, NFAC, with of course the prior approval of the board, at any stage of appeal may transfer the case to another appeal unit. Again, a practical example on this. So we had a case wherein it was a case of a royalty being paid by the Indian subsidiary company to the parent company. Royalty which was paid was nearly 5% of a certain gross value of the sale, and which amounted to nearly 15 CR. The commissioner appealed, and this was a kind of a transaction which involved the affiliate entity. We requested that as this is an international transaction, we should be given the opportunity to be being heard in person. Of course, okay. So NFAC said no, we will not allow, because anyways it's going on faceless. This may be an international transaction, but falling in your routine things. So this was not accepted. But what they did, which was very important for us, was they changed the CIT, because the CIT who was handling was more into domestic cases. So they transferred it to someone, a CIT who was handling the international and the transfer pricing cases. So this again at times become important. And how do we assess whether this is? We assess when we got this notice from him, asking questions which were not very pertinent, not very substantial, and it reflected that the appeal unit which is issuing these notices, they are not understanding the concept as per the provisions of Section 92 of the Income Tax Act, and actually we had gone to them requesting for appropriate action. Question number 6, very important again, that if there are any mistakes in the order which we receive, can it be rectified? Again, the answer is that NFAC has prescribed a form now. Now, nothing, once your order is done, you cannot upload any additional submissions. For all these things, NFAC has come out with additional forms. So if there is a mistake which is apparent from records in the final order, we have to file that rectification application in the form prescribed by NFAC. Again, very important. Now, these clauses are important, and we have to have a remembrance of all these, that an opportunity shall be provided to the other party. So, in case there is in the Commissioner of Income Tax appeal order, in our own case, the royalty which we said was 5% of certain sales, they considered 5%, but on the gross sales instead of the defined sales. And we said this is a order which is incorrect. So NFAC had sent that order to the assessing officer. The other party is given an opportunity to view our application for rectification and come out with their. So in our case, of course, the assessing officer said that no, what I have done is correct, what appellant is seeking is incorrect. So on receipt of his submission, on basis of our 154, appeal unit was allowed to consider the order once again. An appeal unit, incidentally in our case, they considered our submissions, the agreements which we had filed, the basis of calculation, and they passed the draft order rectifying the application. Of course, they have the power to also reject it. And NFAC then, after reviewing the draft order, passed the final order, giving us the relief of apparent mistake. And so this is about it. And next question is, where the appeal can be made for order passed by NFAC? Though very simple question, but very important, that ITAT is the next authority and they have not yet gone stateside. So ITAT is the one where we have to file the order if it is against us. Similarly, all DRP orders, they cannot be filed before commissioner. Any order which is not favorable passed by DRP it again has to go to the ICAI. In few cases, we can directly go to High Court with SLP in case the demands are very significant and we haven't got any benefit, but are hopeful or were hopeful that it has not in right direction, the order has been passed. We can go to the High Court, jurisdictional High Court for the demand not to be pressed. So before I get on to my final one, any questions I would love to take? And maybe you can unmute, and if there's anything, before I ask a few questions from what we have done so far. किसी का भी कोई और क्वेश्चन हो हम बात कर सकते हैं.
The participants can unmute as well if they don't want to.
हाँ, unmute करके आप प्लीज पूछ सकते हैं. And you must ask something. Don't think it is relevant or not relevant. It is immaterial. Because faceless is something very new and we must understand each aspect of it.
Hello.
Yes.
So recently we received notices for enablement of communication window.
Yes.
What to reply in reply to that?
Good question, and I think we just discussed that. So as I mentioned that CIT appeal faceless, the procedure started in September of 2020. It had gone, it was doing okay, not very good, because at the level of appeal, the appellate authorities were not very tech enabled, or they faced a lot of issues while reviewing, understanding our submissions, and plus lot many other procedural technical challenges. So CIT notices for last 3 months or even more, they were not issued because they were enabling, number one, the technical side of it. Number two, even internally, they were aligning with it. So these kind of, wherever the appeal has been filed, all the companies or the appellants, they have got this standard notice saying that now it is enabled. If you have not been able to file any submissions earlier, file it now. It also means that now you will start getting the notices in case you are not receiving it for last 3 months. Third, if you have followed up for fixing the appeal, that would be actioned now. So this is what the meaning is.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, so in chat, you can write the answer. So my question is that once we get an order which is favorable to the appellant issued by NFHC, where do we file the appeal, the next appeal? कहाँ पे हमें अगली अपील फाइल करनी चाहिए? In case we have got an order from NFHC accepting all our grounds. Just put it in the chat. No chat. बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन है कि हमारे पास फेवरेबल ऑर्डर आ गया, क्या वो हम अपील कर सकते हैं? कर सकते हैं तो कहाँ कर सकते हैं? ये नहीं कर सकते. So if it's a favorable order, we won't even appeal. But if it is not favorable, we'll go to IT80. So Humayun has tried to say IT80, but Humayun, only when it is not favorable. Okay, second question is this: there is an order passed by DRP. Can we appeal it before commissioner appeals? Yes or no? DRP ने एक ऑर्डर पास किया है, तो खाते हैं, is very smart, हाँ, नो पहले कर दिया. Okay, so I think this is fine. So IT80 के पास जाएगा या सीधा हाई कोर्ट जाएगा DRP का ऑर्डर? Where can we appeal the DRP order? Very nice, very nice. At least you are active and participative. So I'm happy about it. So if there is any rectification in the Commissioner appeal order, what do we do? सीधी कोई सबमिशन फाइल कर दें या कोई फॉर्म फाइल करें? ठीक है आमिर, विल जस्ट आंसर, बट अभी जो मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि there is a apparent error in the appeal order. So what is the course of action which is available with us? Option 1, do we file some kind of a submission? Option 2, do we file some kind of a form which is prescribed by NFAC? So option 1 or option 2, apparent error. ऑर्डर में गलती है, हम कोई सबमिशन फाइल करें जैसे नॉर्मल में करते हैं, फॉर्म एनएफएसी, आमिर ने एक आंसर दिया है, एनीबॉडी एल्स? So Amir Nazir seems to be very active, and you are right. We cannot, once the order is passed, we cannot file any regular assessment. So it is only in the prescribed form that we can approach them. Okay. Another question, and which is the last one before, and then we'll move to the final submission, is so there is a situation. Now I'm going to give you a situation which you have to answer. So there is a situation wherein best case is to go for 264. Okay, we'll talk about it, Shakib ji, later. Even the 264 is an option, it's awesome. Okay, but okay, I'll just leave it. Okay, so my situation is that, you know, there is a SSC who is a non-resident Indian, and currently he is based out of KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And he has been there in KSA for last nearly 20 years. So he qualified as chartered accountant 20 years back, वहीं चला गया, सब कुछ वहीं पर है. KSA is the place where he has to pay no taxes. He deposits, you know. So KSA से ही, what he did was, he invested some amount in jurisdictions like US, कुछ mutual fund में डाल दिया. Then he invested some amount in France, again some good, interesting, exciting bonds he got. और कुछ अमाउंट उसने इंडिया में भेज दिया और यहाँ पे उसने कुछ एनआरई में डिपॉजिट कराया. तो ये फैक्ट नंबर 2 है. 1, 20 years back, this gentleman qualified as CA, got a job in KSA, so he is in KSA for 20 years. Number 2, whatever he earned in KSA, he invested the amount in US bonds, in French bonds, and some amount in NRA deposit. Third fact, after completing 20 years, he shifted back to Kashmir. India वापस आ गया वो, और अब लगभग 5 साल उसको हो गए. This is a factual situation. 5 years उसको हो गए हैं, and he has now become, you know, completing all those, fulfilling all the conditions. He is now a resident Indian. So अभी उसका case was picked up last year, you know, and the case was that okay, you are declaring your investments. आपने सारी investments तो बता दी, है ना, पर जो US में उसने bonds पे पैसा डाला था, it was, you know, as per the US bonds, it was not taxable. It was a non-taxable income. जैसे हमारे यहाँ tax free bonds आते हैं, वैसे US में भी वो non-taxable या tax free kind of bonds थे. वहां पे उसने वो डाला था. और इंडिया में जो एनआरई डिपॉजिट थे वो पहले 2 साल, you know, till you are a resident, they are still considered as tax free. But उसके बाद you cannot continue. But somewhat in 3rd year he continued for whatever reasons, maybe banking error or what. That also remained exempted, and this is in year 3 that he got the assessment. So my question is, so in the assessing officer's order, the US income, which was not taxable according to him, was taxed in India. NRE deposit, which according to him being NRE, is not taxable in India, but because it has flown to year 3. So I have number of questions. Question number 1 is assessing officer correct in taxing the US bond income in India? yes or no? यूएस बॉन्ड जो कि टैक्स फ्री हैं, उसके ऊपर कुछ इंटरेस्ट आया, वो ये डिक्लेयर करता था कि मेरे पास बॉन्ड हैं, पर टैक्सेबिलिटी में नहीं लेके जाते थे, अब उन्होंने ऐड कर दिया, तो ये करेक्ट किया एओ ने? यस, योर जनरल टैक्स नॉलेज, नथिंग ग्रेट अबाउट. नो, तो एओ वाज नॉट करेक्ट, ये उन्होंने क्यों उसको ऐड किया? ओके, नो, आई थिंक आई नीड फ्यू मोर आंसर कि जो यूएस की इनकम उसकी इंडिया में टैक्स होगी, जो टैक्स फ्री है, वो करेक्ट किया कि नहीं किया? So I have got one answer that AO is not right. उसको टैक्स नहीं करना चाहिए था. तो करना चाहिए था कि नहीं करना चाहिए? नो, रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस अभी वो 3rd ईयर में बन गया रेजिडेंट, वो 9 इयर्स वाली कंडीशन और वो सब उसमें वो कर ली. तो व्हाट वुड बी योर आंसर, आमिर? एंड यू कैन मार्क इट टू एवरीवन, हाँ, डायरेक्ट की बजाय एवरीवन को हम रख सकते हैं. आई एम लुकिंग फॉर फ्यू मोर आंसर्स. यूएस की इनकम इंडिया में टैक्स होगी टैक्स फ्री बॉन्ड से, इज इट राइट और नॉट राइट? Now global income will be taxable. Okay. Okay. So Amir is saying yes. Humayun is saying no. For resident, it is taxable. Okay. One more answer and then we'll get on to the reasons. Ha ya na? Yes or no? One more. And Yusuf, you can try yes or no. Yeah. So answer is yes. So Amir, can I ask you why it is yes? आपने बिल्कुल ठीक लिखा है, ग्लोबल इनकम विल बी टैक्सेबल, फॉर रेजिडेंट इट इज टैक्सेबल, बट if it is a tax free bond, why taxable? You can unmute and even convey your thoughts. क्यों टैक्सेबल है? कौन से सेक्शन को आपने ध्यान में रखा इस चीज के लिए? शाकिब ने भी यस कहा है, तो इवन शाकिब यू कैन आल्सो अनम्यूट एंड टेल अस द रीजन. डबल टैक्सेशन लॉ, ओके, पर मेरा यहाँ पे डीटेल का पॉइंट नहीं है, तो ओके, लेट मी आंसर इट कि yes, it is taxable because the exempt incomes are covered under section 10 of the Income Tax Act, and section 10 doesn't talk about the exempt incomes earned abroad. So once you fulfill section 6 requirements and you are a resident and the ordinary resident, the income, if it is not exempted under section 10, becomes taxable. So this is the reason that it is taxable. So I agree with all the yes answers. So second question is NRE deposit, which should not have continued beyond 2 years because he's Shakib, you're right. ROR में ये applicable नहीं होगा. So NRE deposit पे जो interest आया है, what would happen to that? So AO said it is taxable now. Though NRE, non-resident external account per se says that any interest earned on the deposit will be tax exempt under section 10. इस केस में अभी क्या होगा? जो एओ ने उसको टैक्स कर दिया, इज ही राइट? यस. और जो टैक्स किया, इट इज नॉट राइट? नो. तो यस और नो. And I want more participants to please come forward and don't worry about yes or no. It will at least give me some confidence whether we are in the right track of understanding. So Shakib कह रहे हैं yes. Anybody else? So there is NRE, जहाँ पे section 10 कहता है any interest earned would be exempt. He is in year 3, wherein technically he should have surrendered or concluded his NRE deposit account, but he couldn't, क्योंकि पार्ट ऑफ द ईयर चल रहा था, उसके बाद चलने दो, बाद में जब खत्म हो जाएगा तो मैं रिन्यू नहीं करूंगा। तो उसके ऊपर जो इंटरेस्ट आया अपनी टैक्स रिटर्न में, उसको उसने एग्जेम्प्ट माना, एओ ने उसको टैक्सेबल माना। तो वाज एओ राइट और नॉट, बस इतना ही चाहिए, यस और नो, देन आई विल गिव द रीजन। Just in your chat box you can write yes or no. See, there are so many participants, at least some answer should come. आमिर कह रहे हैं कि एओ ने जो किया इट इज नॉट राइट, नो। ओके, कोई अनम्यूट करके बोलना चाहे, यू कैन ऑलवेज फील फ्री। हाँ, ये बहुत बेसिक क्वेश्चन है, आई एम आस्किंग अ वेरी बेसिक क्वेश्चन। एनआरई डिपॉजिट सेक्शन 10 एग्जाम्प्ट इज if closure he is returning back, then interest earned is taxable. Okay, any other answer? So आमिर ने नहीं कहा है, शाकिब has said कि if closure he is returning back, then interest is earned is okay. So शाकिब कहना चाहते हैं taxable है। Few more answers please. यासिर अहमद खान, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? Yes or no? At least put something. कोहली, स्मृति कोहली, आपका कुछ आंसर है? यासिर कह रहे हैं यस टैक्सेबल होना चाहिए, गुड। एजाज कहते नहीं होना चाहिए, ओके। आप रिस्पॉन्स नहीं करेंगे ना तो मुझे लगेगा कि मे बी यू नो यू आर नॉट लिसनिंग, और मे बी आई एम नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन इट। चलो ठीक है, गुड गुड गुड, एटलीस्ट देयर आर आंसर्स व्हिच आर कमिंग। ठीक है, तो कैन आई रिक्वेस्ट एजाज अहमद टू अनम्यूट एंड से व्हाई द असेसिंग ऑफिसर इज नॉट राइट, उसको टैक्स नहीं करना चाहिए। So Azaz, is it possible for you to unmute and speak?
Hello?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ बताइए। आप कह रहे हैं कि नहीं होना चाहिए। What AO has done is incorrect.
So if interest earned on NRE deposits is exempt under section 10, then it will remain exempt.
It will remain. So this is your logic.
Irrespective whether he's returning or he's returning back or not.
Okay, okay. तो okay, यासिर भी यही कह रहे हैं। Okay, so let me just put view on this. NRE deposit, NRE deposit, once you become a resident, it cannot continue as NRE per se. As soon as you become a resident, even if it is repatriated from outside India, as soon as you become a resident and ordinary resident, so I'm taking a 2-year cushion anyways, it cannot carry the same color or a structure of NRE. इसका मतलब ये है कि आप उसको कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं but incorrectly continue कर रहे हैं। You have to inform your bankers that now you have become a resident. ये सिर्फ उन केसेस में होता है जहां पे कि आप वेट करें कि अच्छा मेरा खत्म होगा आफ्टर 6 months. So that as per Income Tax Act itself, if any income is colored differently, it will not be a tenable option for either the SSC to continue claiming it as exempt, nor for AO to allow it as exempt. Okay, so section 10 is to be read with respective sections of income from other sources. So therefore, NRE deposit interest will be taxable. So Shakib keh rahe hain, on day 1 of return, he is considered the resident for taxation. Yeah, he is resident, but not ordinary resident. So generally, if you are out for more than 9 years or so, RNOR is the right answer. So till you are RNOR, only your respective jurisdictional income will be taxable. Okay. So as soon as you become ROR, your global income becomes taxable in India. Okay. So this is what it is. Okay. Any other question before we move on to the last section of the day? Okay, so we are moving to the last segment of the presentation, which is about other critical aspects while we handle the appellate proceedings. And this is going to be more interactive than just reading about it. Yeah. So anybody who has recently dealt with the faceless appellate method, appeal or first level appeal method, if somebody could talk about their experience of how they handled it, what were the challenges which were faced. कोई भी जना एक अनम्यूट करके बात कर सकता है.
मुझे लगता है कि वो ऑर्डर पास नहीं करते जिसमें सबमिशन देते हैं.
Okay.
From last 2 years, I made so many submissions, but I'm not getting any order.
हो सकता है वो कहीं अपील 1, अपील 2, अपील 3 में ना हो, आपका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मैटर भी हो सकता है.
नहीं, मुझे लगता है जिसमें उनको रिलीफ देनी है वो शायद होल्ड करते हैं.
तो फेवरेबल बात है सर. अच्छा, कोई टाइम लिमिट है इनके पास क्या? डू CIT
No, I don't think so. No time limit. It should be. होना चाहिए.
So, for your information, very interestingly and excitingly, there is a provision. Section, अगर आप 246A से 251 तक जाएंगे, procedures में there is a provision that they may pass the order within 1 year from the end of the financial year in which the appeal is filed. But ये may के साथ बहुत सारे ifs and buts हैं, which they take the benefit and never pass the order. So in fact, on the same ground, for a very significant appeal, we approached the High Court, the Jurisdictional High Court of Delhi, कि भैया हमारा इतना स्टेक पर है और बार-बार डिमांड प्रेस हो रही है. It was a significant amount of demand. And अपील को हमने बहुत कोशिश की for 2-3 years कि sir, it is a matter of significance, हमारे लिए अमाउंट भी इन्वॉल्व है, if you could take up. But he said, okay, I'll do that. वो कभी भी नहीं हुआ. हाई कोर्ट ने फिर इंस्ट्रक्ट किया उनको कि no, this is not only a matter of demand, but also the issue involved is a recurring issue in the case of the SSC. And every year they are accumulating so very huge demands. So you should take it on priority basis.
I think there should be time barring approach, just like 264.
वो make की बजाय it should be word होना
It
चाहिए.
should be.
हाँ, time barring तो अभी भी है, but they have lot of. तो ये है एक challenge. Yeah, anybody else who would like to share their views, opinion on their recent handling of appeal, faceless appeal?
हेलो
Yeah.
सर, एक्चुअली जो अभी डिमोनेटाइजेशन के केसेस लिए गए थे 16-17 में जो डिमोनेटाइजेशन हुआ था, तो उसमें क्या अभी तक कोई फेवरेबल डिसीजन आया इन फेवर ऑफ एसएससी?
बहुत कम आए हैं, क्योंकि केसेस ही वो थे जहाँ पे कि डिपार्टमेंट को पता था कि फेवरेबल नहीं होगा. तो एटलीस्ट टू द बेस्ट ऑफ माय नॉलेज बहुत ही कम ऐसे केसेस हैं जो फेवरेबल थे. अधिकतर वो फेवरेबल है ही नहीं. तो एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग इसमें रहा कि एक हमारे क्लाइंट है, राइट और रॉन्ग आई डू नॉट नो, बट सो वी हैव अ क्लाइंट, तो एंड वर्किंग इन अ बिग MNC, लार्ज MNC एट अ वेरी सीनियर पोजीशन. तो डीमोनेटाइजेशन के पीरियड में उनके ड्राइवर के अकाउंट में सिग्निफिकेंट कैश अमाउंट वाज डिपॉजिटेड. तो वो ड्राइवर का वो आया, मतलब है ना, जैसे नोटिस आता आया कि इतना कैश कहाँ से आया. तो वो ड्राइवर ने कहा जी तो मेरे मालिक ने जमा कराया है। तो वो मालिक के पास गए, हाँ मालिक हैपेंस टू बी आवर क्लाइंट। तो हमने कहा कि इतना हेवी कैश आपने क्यों जमा कराया? उसकी वाइफ ने भी जमा कराया, उसके एक 19-20 साल का बेटा था उसने भी जमा कराया, इसने भी कराया। तो नो दे सेड नो इट इज जस्ट आउट ऑफ लव अफेक्शन और यू नो ही हैज बीन वर्किंग विद अस फॉर सो लॉन्ग एंड वी नेवर नो व्हाट इज आवर लाइफ, ये वो करके कुछ उन्होंने सबमिशन में लिख रखा था। तो मैंने कहा हु इज गोइंग टू बिलीव दिस 30 लाख कैश इन पर्सनल अकाउंट जिसकी सैलरी आप 15,000 देते हो, कौन मानेगा इस 30 लाख को? लॉट ऑफ जुगाड़ उन्होंने किया, एडवोकेट ये लिखवाया वो लिखवाया, उस बेचारे से भी कुछ लिखवाया कि यस आई हैव बीन वर्किंग हियर फॉर लास्ट सो मेनी इयर्स। तो सीआईटी भी काम मानने वाला था आईटीआईटी में। तो एंड एक्चुअली द आईटीआईटी मेंबर्स दे लाफ्ड, कहते हैं मिस्टर सो एंड सो यू थिंक दैट वी आर फूल एंड वी आर गोइंग टू बिलीव दिस थ्योरी? तो you know very less chances of getting a favorable order. तो इसमें तो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें आई हैं। Anybody else wants to share something interesting, exciting on FaceTime? तो ये पॉइंट नंबर 4 है, अगर आप देखेंगे ना कि with effect from 1/6/1999 the CIT appeal where it is possible may hear and decide such appeal within a period of 1 year from the end of the financial year in which such appeal has been filed, prior to which there was no time limit. But मुझे लगता है even post that there is no time limit because it comes with ifs and buts. Wherever it is possible, may hear. तो ये है। और एक और चीज अभी इंटरेस्टिंग आई है, इफेक्टिव 2013 CBDT instruction that order should be passed within 15 days from the date of last hearing. So this was also not happening in couple of our own cases. तो तब वो ओमनी ये था। तो अभी तो ये सीपी ग्राम है, तो वी अप्रोच क्योंकि हमारा 1 महीना हो गया, अभी तो कुछ ऑर्डर नहीं आया एंड वी हैव द केस वाज हर्ड, तब वो फिजिकल का टाइम था। तो सीआईटी ने ये लिख के भेज दिया कि आई वाज इल एंड द आई ऑफ कोर्स सेड केस हर्ड बट आई एम नॉट एबल टू कंक्लूड बिकॉज आई नीड मोर डिस्कशंस ऑन दिस। तो खैर सीपी ग्राम विल नेवर ऑर्डर इन आवर फेवर। तो फिर एक और नोटिस आया, फिर 6 महीने और हियरिंग हुई। तो इवन दिस इज द इंस्ट्रक्शंस आर नॉट फॉलोड एंड वी हैव एक्चुअली वी आर सो हेल्पलेस, कई बार हम कुछ कर नहीं पाते। एक और बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन इसमें आता है, क्रिटिकल एस्पेक्ट है, कैन एन अपील बी फाइल्ड अगेंस्ट एन ऑर्डर passed by AO giving effect to the appellate order? So, you know, before reading what is mentioned here, again a very practical thing which happened. And as we all know now, CIT orders cannot be set aside. This we are all aware. They have to pass the order and it cannot be set aside. So this point number 3 was appellate order which had come up in our SSC favor, appellant's favor. So while giving effect to the order, EO took, you know, a different approach to give that order. In fact, he indirectly refused what ITAT had said. So ITAT gave a favorable order saying that, okay, these comparables, these companies should be checked. And if what SSC is saying is correct, their ratios are correct, you give the. तो उसने ये लिख दिया कि okay, I have number 1, तो उसने कहा ये these are not comparables at all. ITAT has clearly said that these are comparables, just check the numbers and get. तो पहला तो उसने लिख दिया कि they are not comparable. Number 2 उसने कहा कि the percentage of calculation by the SSC itself is wrong. जबकि this point was never there before assessing officer or ITAT. So he passed the appeal OGE, order giving effect, and disregarding all the contentions or the set aside reasons given by ITAT. तो वहां पे फिर हम अपील के पास गए कि सर ये किस तरह का ऑर्डर है, ITAT का तो कुछ फॉलो ही नहीं हुआ। तो वहां पे इट टुक अस लॉट ऑफ टाइम।
941 52353
सर एक क्वेश्चन था, आई कैन डिस्टर्ब यू?
हाँ प्लीज प्लीज प्लीज, बस मैं एक खत्म करूं इस चीज को। तो
हाँ
in this case CIT appeal allowed the order in our favor, saying that you have not read what ITAT has read. आपने अपने आप ही कुछ अपने conclusion निकाल दिए. So appeal can be filed even against such orders. This is what point number 3 is conveying. That if the OG given to us is not in spirit or in correctness, the appeal can be filed. So this is not given in 246A. Yeah, अब आप मैम पूछ सकते हैं, please.
तो सर जो अभी हमारी जैसे 143 के हमारे को इंटीमेशंस आती हैं, उसमें भी मैं देखती हूँ कि कई बार प्रोसेसिंग इतनी गलत हुई होती है और इनफैक्ट हम लोग रेक्टिफिकेशंस भी डालते हैं, बट सिंस कंप्यूटर प्रोसेस करता है तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है उसमें. तो फिर हमारे पास
143(1) की बात कर रहे हैं, 143(1) की बात कर रहे हैं.
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी.
हाँ जी.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
तो सर उसमें भी फिर हमारे पास फाइनल कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन अपील ही रहता है या कुछ और, मतलब जैसे रीप्रोसेसिंग होती नहीं?
नहीं, आप 154 पहले ट्राई कीजिए, क्योंकि 154 इज आल्सो अपीलेबल इफ नो ऑर्डर इज.
सर 154 कर लिया, बट लेकिन
तो
उसमें
3
भी
महीने के बाद आप अपील
ग्रीवेंस
फाइल
भी
कर
डाली,
सकते हैं. हाँ, आप अपील फाइल कर सकते हैं.
मतलब ग्रीवेंस भी. और कई केसेस में ऐसा था, फॉर एग्जांपल कि 143(1) की इंटीमेशन आई, बट समहाउ लाइक 3-4 साल पुराना है केस, तो उसमें मतलब जो भी तब काउंसिल थे या जैसे पता नहीं चलता ऑनलाइन जिसने भी किया, तो उन्होंने 154 की रेक्टिफिकेशन नहीं डाली और उन्होंने एड बैक कर दिया. तो उस केस में फिर क्या हम कंडोनेशन ऑफ डिले लेकर तो फिर अपील फाइल?
और इसमें कंडोनेशन आपको मिल भी जाती है, क्योंकि
अच्छा.
143(1) में डिपार्टमेंट इज वेरी लिबरल, so they can allow you condonations also.
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर.
Okay.
Sir, we have many instances where we are receiving the time bar notices either with like 147 or 144, either of let's suppose 143 even, like for 50 lakhs का जहाँ below भी होता है, they go more than 10 years. Like in that case they have to have 3 years approach. तो उसमें भी वो 10 साल का ही provision लगाते. We have still like cases where we are literally receiving the notice till last year 11-12 का, when it is obviously null and void, when the demand itself was less than 50 lakh rupees. So in that case, we have written to the department. There is a time bar that we used to get that Supreme Court का जो decision भी आया था. In fact, जो hue and cry हुआ था that faceless के बाद physically कैसे आप 147 का उल्लंघन करेंगे, तो that was time. But anyways, department has itself a Supreme Court give a ruling, but 148 का notice itself means it has been issued under 148 subsection A. But in that case, there was, I guess, a 15 days window bhi diya tha to AOs to set as a new status. But we are still very confused about this. Is a one aspect. I'm just having a one query about the time bar, which itself is from the face of the notice. It looks like a year. ये 11-12 का 20 लाख 10 लाख का demand का notice हमें भेज रहे हैं, and they are not expecting or accepting or reviews on this time bar approach, because they find it very cruel. Whenever we write it, it's a time bar. In that in the AO has he has erred in both facts and law of case, as the time mentioned is this. So उसमें भी हमें कुछ, we have replied to many of notices, but we haven't received any favorable response from their side, and still e-proceeding में वो दिखा रहा है उनके portal पे open system like. So in that case, the department has to be like very liberal in the when law has itself came, though that it should not be a subject matter of the procedural aspect, that we need to rectify. Just like ma'am said, in many of cases, I'm going apart from discussion, there are instances when 143 subsequent का ये हो जाता processing, when the department itself knows that the tedious entries are there, why we need to go for rectification under 154 when it is not something that we need. Actually, that's the definition of 154 as well. It is not something to derive from material or like contingent means. It is that tedious entries are visible. That is something it is there with the department. 26A is entry. Still, they want us. There are many cases where we forgot actually the notices has been rectification. 143 has intimation has come, demand has been raised, but we are unable to communicate because it is not practically possible. सबका email check करना, सबका मतलब we have so much. No, we are messed with so much of work. There are appeal GST and all that stuff, and we have missed it. 2-3 साल के बाद पता चलता है कि 143 में उन्होंने TDS credit ही नहीं दिया था. Then we have to go to 154 rectification. It takes along 4 months to rectify that. Then they say it will be refunded, or it take for one entry or two things we had to wait for years to rectify. So the things has to be liberal from department point of view. For these silly things, we shall not go for these procedural aspect and go very legal nitty-gritty में नहीं होना चाहिए. So that's my concern is this with this 143, and especially with this time barred notices.
No, I agree because we all are facing the similar issues. So kahin na kahin, there are challenges with the tech part of it. Number two, even the enablement of or the education of the assessing officers, though there are a lot of young people who understand, but majority, they still are in the transition phase. So what you are saying, I think I fully agree because we are also in the same boat. But अगर कहीं बहुत बड़ा कुछ issue है and you're not getting a proper resolution, CP Gram is one where we can approach, at least file something. ताकि our, the submissions or our concern is already there. And as we just discussed above, that point was not listed in 246A, but we can also file an appeal on any other matter. So this also falls under any other matter. So you must have at least some presence on the tax, either the portal or the appellate authority, just in case of any challenge which may come up. So और ये हमने भी किया है. In lot of cases we have done this. So while we are trying with the AO to get it closed, but अगर नहीं भी होता तो at least something is there. And I think I fully agree. ये common सब जगह ये challenge आ रहा है.
Sir, sorry for just add on this. I have recently filed a return under section 119 subject to be in the condition of delay, and it was under very reasonable and strong grounds for the SSC to file the return. And he has filed it that the refund relates to the way back 1819 assessment year, and CP Gram has instructed the AO, and that time I guess the ma'am PC was there, Sindhu Ji was there, and instructed the AO to get this matter done. I got be called by AO. And he gave me the relief. It was under 190 itself. He gave me relief to file the return under 190 to subsequent and file the return. The the refund was determined around 2 lakhs something. And this, I'm talking about 2 years back, and almost it has been 2 years now. Process हुआ return refund अभी तक नहीं आया. Itself 1192B को मुझे file करने में it took me around 1 year to get the relief from CP Gram. Because department said we cannot give IC, you have to go for this. Then I went to CIT ke paas. I wrote this matter of mine that the SSC, his father actually was a CA patient. He was there for Delhi for like 4.5 months. How can a person, when his own father was on ailing bed, how can he think about filing the return? His own peace and mind was almost distracted. So then they gave me the order, okay, you can file. I got a written order, and I filed the return. After that, refund was also determined, which was around 2 lakhs something. And ये बात होने को भी अब 2 साल हो गए जब मैंने return भी बड़ी process भी होगा. It is way back assessment year 1819. Up till now, no refund has been determined. I have wrote to the CP Gram as well.
You're right. ये भी common issue है.
Issues are
What I would suggest, I think for all of us, that through our chapter, because generally, all these issues we consolidate and send it to which first set has already gone to the finance minister. But all these issues should be highlighted and be provided to the chapter so that they can consolidate and send it to Delhi office before representation, that we do before the FM team. और ये हम करते हैं, on all major states we do put in these points, where we are facing the challenges. Because client at times may not understand, वो सब consultant के ऊपर आ जाते हैं कि you are not putting in the effort.
Exactly.
कहीं ना कहीं तो ये हमें कहीं ना कहीं, let's make our chapter very smart and active, and they are all very relevant points, क्योंकि हम सब face कर रहे हैं और कहीं ये chapter से आएगा एक बार तो the ICAI at their level could always consolidate and put in their concerns.
So still that 245, I guess there was a judgment of the, I don't know whether it was CIT, this CIT or the bench was given the order that 245 का जो हमारा set off होता है refund के against, it shall not be, I don't know, I exactly am right.
You are right, but
5% के access नहीं कर सकते. Every day we are getting your 245 का adjustment against this adjusted demand of this. And still, so sir, अब अगर लड़ाई रोज करनी है ना, तो फिर इसी के साथ रहना. So things has to be liberated from the department.
काम कैसे करेंगे ना, हम brain कहाँ पे लगाएंगे? Where do we actually grow?
We are not तो litigation के साथ, sir. We have then be a non-litigation. We can be a litigation expert then. We cannot be having auditor point of view, तो हो ही नहीं हमारा सकता है। अगर हमें
नहीं,
डिपार्टमेंट के साथ
litigation
ले रहे हैं
expert नहीं है. This is not that we are expertising in litigation. It is getting into the procedural things.
things,
So very brainy minds getting into these things is not worth it. So ये मैंने अभी वोका में I think Yusuf Khatib was there. वहां पे देखा, we talked so very big things. कहीं ना कहीं, it was a foundation laid for next 30 years कि हमें कहाँ सोचना है. And chartered accountants are so very smart, so very intelligent. अगर यही चीजों में हम लगे रहे, ये रिफंड नहीं आ रहा, उसको फॉलो अप करो, ये एप्लीकेशन, we are not applying. We are absolutely not applying. How are we better than a clerk?
clerk then, exactly.
है ना, इतनी मेहनत करके ये बनते हैं, फिर हम यही चीज कर रहे हैं, not worth it.
Both. True, sir. So let's
Exactly.
conclude the things.
Yeah, so this is the last point. I'll just conclude, and this is about set aside. Set aside, ma'am, just, as we just discussed that CIT cannot now set aside because of the Finance Act, which has brought in. But one important Supreme Court judgment I would like to highlight. This was in the case of Umesh Dhai Mode, Supreme Court. Of course, it was in the case of custom duty, wherein they mentioned, the Supreme Court said, our Honorable Apex Court said, that the Commissioner of Customs, he can always set aside a matter in case he's not able to take a conclusive call. So, of these CITs have, in Delhi at least I have seen, or not in Delhi, the orders that we are receiving now, CITs have started set asiding the matter. So, nothing to worry about, but just a highlight. So, any question and answers? I think we have answered most of it. And I would love to thank you, all of you. You were all very interactive, and I actually enjoyed being with you. So thank
very
you
much,
from
sir.
my side.
It was an honor for us also.
Thank you, sir.
Great
Thank you.
session.
One of-
Learning,
Thank
a lot of learning for each and every member. We will definitely be organizing some physical seminars and sessions here in Kashmir, and we'll be cordially inviting you for those two, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I think we should conclude the session on this part today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir,
Okay.
for your insights. It was really great. Thanks all the participants. We will be meeting again maybe on 30th with the next topic on accounting standards and Indias. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, sir. Honored.
Okay. Thank you.
Honored.